All right, so first off, I want to say all praise to Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai. I also want to say double honors to the elect, or to the, excuse me, to the elder apostles of and bishops of GMS, all right, Great Millstone. And also I want to say shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel, all right? Lord willing, I am of that number. And I did forget to state my name. I have to get used to that so that you know who's speaking here, all right? This is a brother Yalad Amath, all right, from Dayton, Ohio. Okay. So we started this series on pushing the truth. All right, we spoke about Jeremiah. What was that? Jeremiah. Hold on a second here. All right, Jeremiah 23 and verse 22, which read, "But if they had stood in my counsel and had caused my people to hear my words, then they should have turned from them, or excuse me, they should have turned them from their evil way and from the evil of their doings." All right, we're speaking about the importance of the push, all right, of this truth. And then later on, we're going to get to examples of pushback, all right? This is a part of our story, all right? But it's only going to be going on for now, right, in this time. Because there is going to come a time where the push and the pushback, all right, have ended, okay? So let me find where I was at so we can continue on with this conversation. Hold on a second here. All right, so let's pick up with Deuteronomy. All right, let's go visit Deuteronomy 32, verses 1 through 3 here. All right, so this is Deuteronomy chapter 32. Verses 1 through 3. Okay. Pretty sure this is where we're going to start at for a second. Hold on. Okay, yeah, this is where we're going to start. Deuteronomy 32, verses 1 through 3. All right. So let's go here. It's titled The Song of Moses, which is, all right, this new song. Okay. But we're going to mention the first 3 verses, all right, which goes into pushing this truth. All right. So chapter 32 of Deuteronomy, verse 1, it says, "Give ear, O ye heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. My doctrine shall drop as the rain, my speech shall distill as the dew, as the small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass. Because I will publish the name of Yahweh Baal Shem Yahweh Shai, or the name of Yahweh, excuse me. Ascribe ye greatness unto our power." And yes, I do mean Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. All right, we are publishing these names, all right, proclaiming these names, all right, and the doctrine, the one doctrine that goes along with these names, all right. So let's talk about this and what it has to do with pushing the truth. Okay. So this reveals, in 3 verses, all right, reveals the universal scale. Okay. The gentle yet powerful delivery and the ultimate purpose of pushing this word. All right. So again, that verse, Deuteronomy 32 and 31. "Give ear, O ye heavens, and I will speak and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. Okay, so when, again, like we spoke of in the previous video, when a true man of Yahweh, Baal Hashem, Yahweh Shai, or when a true man of Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai pushes this truth, his audience is not just the people standing on the street corner. Okay? It mentioned here, all right? Give ear, O ye heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth. All right? So this message is for everything. Okay? This truth will be preached in the world and to the world. Okay? All right? So again, when a true man of Yahweh, Baal Shem Yahweh Shai, pushes his truth, his audience is not just the people standing on the street corner. Right? Here, Moses calls upon the heavens and the earth, right, to bear witness to what's being said here. Right? We are proclaiming, right, the words of the Lord, right, the names of the Lord, the words of the Lord, the ways of the Lord while we're out there. Okay? So this shows that pushing the word is a universal decree. Right? Okay? He is the power of heaven and earth, right? Is he not? Okay? So the spiritual realm and the physical creation are listening. Okay? It proves this is not the opinion of man. Right? A man cannot command the heavens and the earth to listen to his personal thoughts. Okay? A man cannot command the earth and the heavens to listen to his emotions. Okay? But these things do hear the Lord's words, man. Okay? And they have to be the words of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. Period. Okay? Alright? Let's get Isaiah chapter 1. Alright, excuse me for jumping around. Alright, this is how we do it though, right? Precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. This is how you get wisdom and understanding, right? So, just trying to stick to this topic and get to the point. So, again, Isaiah chapter 1. We'll start at 1, alright? Chapter 1 says Yahweh's case against Jehoiada, or Judah. Okay? It says the vision of Isaiah, the son of Amos, which he saw concerning Jehoiada, or Judah, and Jerusalem. Right? Both tribes, the northern and the southern, or both kingdoms, the northern and the southern. Right? All tribes. Right? So again, verse 1, the vision of Isaiah, the son of Amos, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem, in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, the kings of Jehoiada. So verse 2 again, it says, hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth. For the Lord, Yahweh Baal Shem Yahweh Shai, hath spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. Okay, if you did not have this truth, okay, if the remnant and the elect, those that are chosen to hear and understand this counsel, if the truth wasn't pushed, right, how would they get taken out of the wrong way and put on this right path? How would they be taken out of their rebellion? Okay, so again, pointing to the importance of pushing this truth, all right? So, back now in Deuteronomy 32 and 2, it read, well, hold on, let's stick with Isaiah 1 and 2 for a second here. When it says, hear, O heavens, right, and give ear, O earth, right, for the Lord has spoken, right, this reinforces that when the truth is pushed, it carries the weight of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, right, and it establishes a legal testimony against the rebellious. All right? It establishes that. It points out, now look, we have people that, all right, have rebelled against me. You know, hear this word. All right, he's telling the whole world about this rebellious people. Okay? Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for the Lord hath spoken. I have nourished and brought up brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. Talking to Israel, man. All right, and in this day, we are still rebelling because of not listening to the message, not taking heed to what's being told to you. Okay? So now back in Deuteronomy 32 and 2. And you gotta excuse me, okay? I can barely see the screen. I took these notes. All right, Deuteronomy 32 and verse 2. It read, my doctrine shall drop as the rain. My speech shall distill as the dew, and as the small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass. All right, so Moses again, all right, compares the pushing of the doctrine to water, all right, rain, dew, and showers. All right, so what does rain do to dry ground? It feeds it. It brings it to life. All right, the Israelites are scattered in a spiritual desert, you could say, this day. Okay, especially here in Babylon the Great. All right, nothing is being done by the powers that be or by these other nations that are here in this melting pot to water the ground that is Israel. Okay? So pushing the truth is pouring living water onto dry land, right, to wake up the elect. Again, not through us, but through the words of Yahweh Baal Shem Yahushua. Okay? If you look in that verse at the words drop and distill, right, it says, dew does not slam onto the ground. It forms perfectly and perfectly saturates the ground. All right, it gets down into the ground, man, or gets into your mind. All right, since we're speaking parabolically, all right. So true doctrine is structured, right? It has order. Okay, it stands alone also. All right, that's why it's called the Holy Scriptures. All right, the set apart word. Okay, it's also precise, and it breaks down the meaning, literal, spiritual. Okay, until it naturally sinks into the minds of the ones that are chosen. All right, it is meat in due season, if you will. All right, pushing the truth means feeding the tender herbs, or the young Israelites that are waking up, even such as myself, all right, with milk first and then heavy showers, all right, which are the deeper meanings and the mysteries, all right, the explanation of dark sayings, all right, for when we mature, then we can handle that. Okay, so it's a growing process, all right, showing the structure, showing the order. Okay, so now let's get Amos 8 and 11, because it's not always going to be here. Right? It's not always going to be here, man. It's here, and it's very abundant now, but again, the Lord has to be working with you. You have to pay attention to the doctrine that's being pushed here. Okay? And time is always ticking away, man. This world's ways will have you thinking that you always have time, when the ones who push the truth, all right, will let you know. Okay, they'll push the fact that no, you don't always have time. It's important to seek the Lord now. All right, but let's go to Amos 8 and 11, which points to, all right, it's not always going to be abundant like this. It reads, behold, the days come, saith the Lord power, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water. All right, I'm not talking about that kind of famine, although those days are coming. Okay, but of hearing the words of Yahweh and Yahushua. And furthermore, it goes on to tell you, right, and they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord, and shall not find it. Okay? Because in these times, you were too busy pushing back against what we were pushing. You were too busy being disarmed by this world's doctrine, or doctrines, plural. All right? You were too busy being in your emotions, right? Worried about your opinion instead of the Lord's facts. All right? So it's not going to be here forever. And you people out there that push against this, you're going to be looking for it again. You're going to be looking for this word, man. All right? So pushing the word right now is providing the spiritual water, all right, that you need. Okay? And you definitely need it. And we're doing it before, all right, the famine of the word hits. We're here doing it now before Amos 8 and 11 comes. This is the time right now. Okay? So now let's go back to Deuteronomy. Lord willing, this is coming through as clear, and it is edifying, all right? That's the point of pushing this word, is that you be edified and know this truth. All right, so Lord willing, when you hear these videos, all right, it is being spoken as an oracle of Yahweh Baal Shem Yahweh Shai, okay? Okay, so back here, and actually, let's go. I said we were going back to Deuteronomy, but let's go back to Isaiah really quick. All right, Isaiah 55. Okay, so it's important to seek the Lord now. Before we go to verse 10, I want to go to Isaiah 55 and 6. Hold on a second. Isaiah 55 and 6 reads, "Seek ye the Lord while he may be found. Call ye upon him while he is near." Again, pointing to Amos 8 and 11, what we just read there. There is a such thing as too late. All right? And in realizing this, you should know how important and how much of a work, a powerful work, all right, from Yahweh Baal Shem Yahweh Shai, the pushing of this word is, all right, through his men. Okay? Let's jump down here to verse 10. It says, "For as the rain cometh down, and the snow from heaven, and returneth not thither, but watereth the earth, and make it bring forth the bud, that it may give seed to the sower, and bread to the eater." Verse 11 says, "So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it." Okay? And that speaks to this word, all right? Being like rain, snow, coming down and watering the minds of the remnant and the elect. That is very important. This is a key part in the waking of the remnant and the elect, the activation of their spirit to come back to the ways of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. Okay? The ones that push back against it, all right, you guys are going to remain in the congregation of the dead. Okay? So now let's go ahead and go back to Deuteronomy 32 in verse 3. And excuse me if my voice gets low. I kind of have to turn my head to look back at these scriptures. Deuteronomy 32. Give me a second. Deuteronomy 32. Now we're going to speak about verse 3. All right. As soon as my fingers get to working. All right. Oh, I'm right here on the page already. Deuteronomy 32 and verse 3 reads, because I will publish the name of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, ascribe ye greatness unto our power. All right, so this is the core of the pushing. Okay, the word publish in the Hebrew is korah, all right, which means to cry out or to proclaim, okay, to cry aloud or to preach. Okay, and this is what the men of the Lord are doing, right? The ones that are pushing. That is the definition of pushing this word. Okay. Hold on a minute. So you cannot push the truth without publishing the name. They go hand in hand. They go hand in hand, man. All right. Moses here in Deuteronomy explicitly says, I will publish the name of the Lord, which is L-O-R-D in all caps, which means Yahweh. Okay? So true men of the Lord do not hide the names, nor do we say the names don't matter. All right? We don't walk around here saying that you can call him anything that he'll understand. Hell no. You know his name. You better be praying in those names, right? And speaking about these names all the time. Okay? You cannot separate the truth from the names, man. Okay, and the names are Yahweh and Yahweh Shai for his son. Okay, and they do matter. So pushing the truth requires exalting those names. Okay? And stripping away all them titles that you learned in the world, like God, or even the wrong names, Jesus or Jeshua or whatever. Okay? The names are Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, right? And that's a part of what we push. This is the importance of the push. Okay? So when that scripture mentioned to ascribe greatness, okay, this means to give all the credit to Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, which is how you hear all of our videos start off. All right, when you hear a brother say, call halal Yahweh, Baal Hashem Yahweh Shai, or call halayim, right, Yahweh, Baal Hashem Yahweh Shai, that is all praise, or halayim is praises to Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. All right, that's how we start out and end our videos, and you'll hear us say it multiple times in the midst of a video. All right, a lot of times. Okay, so this is the ascribing. All right, ascribing greatness. All right, we give all the credit to Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. Who else is it going to go to? Yourself. All right, a lot of y'all are still in trouble and you don't even know it. If you can get yourself out of trouble, why haven't you done it? Okay, if you can give yourself this knowledge, why even watch the videos? Okay, why not make a channel if you can ascribe this greatness to yourself? Because you can't. This comes from on high, and this is also a part of what we push. Okay, all right, this is the main thing. So you have to give all credit to the Father and the Son, all right, Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. Okay? We don't go by our own breakdown, or we didn't make up a chart on our own. That was given through the Spirit. All right, that was given through the Spirit and power of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. All right? And all glory does belong to Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. That's just period, point blank. Okay? Let's go to Proverbs 30. Proverbs 30. This is Proverbs 30 in verse 4. Okay. It says, who hath ascended up into heaven, or descended? Who hath gathered the wind in his fists? All right? Who hath bound the waters in a garment? Who hath established all the ends of the earth? What is his name, and what is his son's name, if thou canst tell? All right? If this name that we found in the scriptures, all right, is the J word everywhere, all right, all up and down these scriptures, all right, it is the G word. If the G word, if God was his name, all right, why would it ask, if thou canst tell? Okay, what is this? What is his name, and what is his son's name, if thou canst tell? And why would this question what the son's name is if the son isn't important? All right, again, this is about pushing the correct doctrine. Okay, and we make it plain that Yahweh Shai is supposed to be worshipped. We make it plain what the names are. All right, we push this as a matter of fact. So when it says what is his name and what is his son's name, if thou canst tell, this shows the importance of pushing the truth and the answers. Okay, and it ends up being that that the names are revealed. All right, showing the importance of these things again. Okay. So now let's hit Sirach for Ecclesiasticus, chapter 17, and verse 10. All right, it says, and the elect shall praise his holy name. All right. So this is also the exact result of publishing the name as commanded in Deuteronomy. Okay. So again, pushing this truth is very important. All right. So Deuteronomy 32 proves that pushing the truth is, number one, divine authority. Okay. Let's get that real quick. I want to read these 3 verses that we just went over here. All right, Deuteronomy 32. Salakia. Deuteronomy 32, all right, verse 1. Again, it reads, give ear, O ye heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. Okay, so this, when we go out here and we preach this, all right, this thing is witnessed by heaven and earth, which should erase human opinion. All right, this is the Lord speaking here. All right, this is his words. These are his words. All right. All right. So when we speak this, it is witnessed by the earth, all right, and heaven. All right. Verse 2, it read, my doctrine shall drop as the rain, my speech shall distill as the dew, as the small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass. Okay, this is the nurturing of the elect, right? Step by step, just like rain on grass, man. Okay, this is what causes the grass and everything to grow. All right, how much more is this going to cause? Is this truth going to cause the remnant and the elect to grow? Okay. Verse 3, it read, because I will publish the name of the Lord, ascribe ye greatness unto our power. All right. So we go out there and we loudly publish the true names of Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai. All right. We don't feel any shame in doing it. Okay. At all. So this has been part 2 of this topic of pushing the truth, and we haven't talked about the pushback yet too much, but we're getting there. Okay, and then also we'll talk about the time that this push and pushback will end for us as a nation. All right. So with that, again, I want to give all praise, infinite praises to Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai. All right, and also I want to give double honors to the elders, apostles of Great Millstone. And also I want to say shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I'm of that number. And Lord willing, we'll see you in the next video. Shalom.